everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I mean, if I like die?
Everything just goes away. How would you, if you could be associated with one thing, how would you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. The most important thing is my faith in my life.
There's so much to say on what happened with Charlie that it's almost hard to pick any one thing out. There's a post I saw that said instead of silencing Charlie Kirk, the assassin amplified his voice, because now thousands of people are going to pick up where he left off. I guess I want to start out by promising my audience that I will be one of those people. One of the reasons I quit pursuing my original YouTube channel 4 years ago is because I was afraid. I just started college, and I didn't want professors or employers to see my political opinions online, and I didn't want to face any adverse reactions if people didn't like what I had to say. And I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry, Charlie. I'm sorry to my audience. And ultimately, I promise to be one of the people who never let their voices be silenced again. I may not even be the best voice, or the loudest, or most popular, but I will not stand by while racism, radical identity politics, and anti-white rhetoric are prevalent in this country. I will fight as long as these things exist. And that leads me to my second point. Americans need to call out the blatant hate speech that the left has brought unchallenged into every political discussion over the last decade or so, like comparing Trump to Adolf Hitler or Mussolini, calling Republicans and people who disagree with them Nazis and racists, leftists who say that people who voted for strong families, a strong America, and for democratic ideals that stood for hate and evil. For the longest time, the majority of Americans have stood by and allowed this rhetoric to go unchallenged or simply ignored, or they've just given their blue-haired, loudmouth friends the benefit of the doubt, saying maybe they really don't think we're Nazis. Maybe they really don't think we're hate-filled and evil for having a different political opinion than them. Maybe they don't actually think we're evil fascists, but they actually do. They've proved that. They shot and killed Charlie Kirk. And they'll argue with you and say, no, that was one deranged kid who by himself set out on a mission to silence Charlie Kirk. But you can't say that every Democrat endorsed this. And to those people I say, have you seen the response from people on the left? The TikToks of people laughing and dancing and celebrating his death? The calls by some for the same thing to happen to his wife, Erica Kirk? The people who take Charlie's words out of context to justify not speaking out against the violence used against him, or justifying not having empathy for his family? Charlie's murder was an attack by the left, for the left, and celebrated by the left. And it started with a story, a fiction, lies that said that Charlie was racist, Hitlerian, sexist. This lie was bought by a deranged young man who sought to fight evil. Except Charlie wasn't evil. These lies were fabricated by the radical left, who continue to demonize their political opponents, who call everyday Americans like you and I Nazis, racists, and ultimately, this paints us as targets. This is dangerous. This is rhetoric and hate speech. And Americans, stop standing for it. Stop letting lunatics paint a target on your back. People who celebrate a father and husband being silenced for his beliefs are deranged to the degree where they shouldn't be outside of an asylum. The same people who called us fascists for electing a man who ends wars are celebrating a man who couldn't contend with Charlie's ideas to such a degree that he resorted to violence. Charlie Kirk's assassination was an act of fascism. Let's quit pretending that we can civilly disagree. We cannot. One side of the political aisle has, for far too long, gotten away with demonizing others to the extent that political violence is becoming the new norm. That is not okay. Everyone on the right should recognize this hypocrisy and bring it to light, and everyone on the left should re-examine their political positions. The party of love and tolerance has continued to show that it is neither loving nor tolerant. And everyone in the middle should take a long look at their fellow countrymen and recognize that there can't be civil disagreements on both sides. Enough is enough. Nothing can justify what happened to Charlie. He was not a racist. He was not a Nazi. He was not a sexist. If you say he was, you are promulgating hate speech by continuing the false rhetoric that got him killed. If you actually think he was, I'd encourage you to watch his content and find one racist or sexist thing he said. You won't be able to.
Put up or shut up, Charlie Kirk.
You know
Put
what?
up or shut
So,
up.
first of all, it says very clearly in the Bible that we shouldn't harm those that are worthy of protection, and you obviously are.
You're just worried I'll kick your
on Medicare age. But let's play this out. Despite the obvious fact, and you and I both know who would win this duel. However,
well, then put
you
up or
are. Hold
shut
on a
up.
second. This is a great embodiment of the American left. You can't debate, so you want to go to blows. You can't. The only thing that is preventing us from this country from going to civil war is debate and dialogue, and you don't even want to have debate. You want to go and you want to wrestle like a 7-year-old. Who here is actually dividing the country?
No. A
So
gentleman's fist fight. You know what that is, right?
Again, I would like to think that we are elevated above trying to go have a fight in the streets or a fight in front of 2,000 people. In fact,
correct.
A mark of civilization is that we don't have to go to blows or bullets, that we can have discourse and debate, but yet you're inviting that. I will say this. I'm not going to fight you because I don't have to. Because you know why?
You don't have to.
You are acting as if someone who is very desperate, who is clout chasing, and we want an election. We are going to remain peaceful while the left promotes violence. We are going to be the peace because, as Christ our Lord said, blessed are the peacemakers, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Lastly, do not compare Charlie to George Floyd. George Floyd was a career criminal who broke the law and held a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. George Floyd died whilst committing a crime. George Floyd was a violent drug addict who likely died of a drug overdose while combating police officers and disobeying lawful orders. Charlie Kirk was a law-abiding citizen who never threatened anyone and didn't break the law. Charlie Kirk was a Christian who wanted to invest in his country and traveled it to edify America's youth. Charlie was murdered for his beliefs while engaging in a civil debate. The only appropriate comparison between these two individuals is the reaction after their death. Those on the left rallied behind a woman-abusing criminal and used the opportunity to spread division, loot, steal, and destroy, and burned cities to the ground. Those on the right mourned Charlie's death, rallied around his family, and chose to pray for the nation. There was no violence, no rioting, and no cities burned to the ground. That is a testament to who Charlie was. Even in death, his memory is honored. Even in death, and partially because of it, his voice rings louder than ever. Thank you, Charlie, for speaking when others couldn't or wouldn't. Thank you for having the courage to speak for those who couldn't speak for themselves, for the country, for me. I'm sorry that this happened, but your memory will be honored. We will never stop until the fight you started comes to completion. If you enjoyed this video or would be interested in other political YouTube content, subscribe and hit that bell icon to stay tuned. And never forget to be courageous.